Good morning, folks. It's ungodly hour. It's not quite 5 o'clock in the morning on third day, third month, 2023. Lots of threes and twos in there. It's a very skull and bone day. And without fail, it looked like another earthquake. A concern of mine is it was very predictable, man. EMF beams can induce earthquakes. Get that through your head. And once you get that through your head, you'll get on with your understanding the risks posed upon your days by massive beams. They can make all the excuses in the world, but physical reaction reeks of physica. Physica is physics. Physics and engineering walk hand in hand. They have to. It's physical things. You learn your basic engineering principles in physics class. In an engineering class, they'll show you how to transfer loads. Yeah, centers of gravity, design, leverage, arms, gears, turns, burnings, all that kind of fun stuff. How to actually make things happen with various tools. How to make an actuator out of a cloud. Right? Right. Then it pushes into something else and makes it do something. How do you make it into a solenoid that does boink, a quick punch? You know, think about it like that, and you'll start thinking like I do about weather. I have a concern about the top storm. And when they push it through, they're doing a fold move. It's hard to describe. I've seen it for years. Whenever it folds back over the top to sling these two storms away from New Zealand, which it should do, it always spins an eddy on the top side. That top side eddy is going to spin to the west of Vanuatu. And that's a concern for Queensland. The moisture flow as of this morning is it's wicked, absolutely wicked. Oh yeah, I'm going to turn and burn for you guys. I told you I needed a monitor. Right here, you'll see these beams come up. If they left them in the feed, I showed them last night. And one's come through here at an angle, and this is bothering me. The consistent beam from Blenheim out this direction here, and it's been fairly consistent, can allow this to drift. It's giving it just enough drift move, and just enough of this turn in here to cause the resistance here to actually force that a little more over to the west. So it's going to take a lot of EMF to pin it. And their earthquake risk is not over. See the straight line here? Fiji's been firing consistently into this storm here. I'll get it a little bit taller for you there. I'll show you what I mean. See the little tickles keep coming out. Boom, boom, boom. See that? That's a blast. They've got some devices here of which I've never been able to identify. Yeah. It acts like an ESCAT radar. In all fairness, the way it's this consistent straight line of energy. All intents and purposes, momentum should have carried some of this up and over to feed back into this storm on this side of Fiji. Fiji's defending itself at the expense of its neighbors. Or there's a weather plan that's got a backdoor into these devices that are aiming and controlling these radars, which is more like what I would like to think goes on. I don't like to think there's a guy with a weather switch. See the straight line appear here at the very end? That's a separator. That'll cut this storm from this storm. This can go independent of that. And that, again, increases earthquake risk along the Chromatic Trench now as these go. Pours pressure on. There's a piece of underwater that goes like this, like a pork chop. As it butts the inside of the pork chop bone, it always puts a little twist on it, and that should trigger some in the trench. Judging by the amount of pressures going on in the beams down here, it could be significant, depending upon which canyon underwater has the landslide. See the scalar square there appear at the end? And that's pretty much going to destroy this storm. It's going to destroy the whole top of it. So its circulation's only going to be momentum on the low deck that's left. If they take the moisture on the top and blast it, you still got something spinning on the low deck, and you got to stop that from spinning. Don't leave anybody who's ever walked a whirlpool in their pool to get it to all the sediment to go to the center for easier vacuuming it up. Right? You know, I had to take care of the pool in the yard. We had one briefly. You know, Yeah, I remember that thing went one night. Whammo! I digress. So the bottom momentum's still spinning. I can see that all the time. A good example of it is this here out west in Australia. Right, this is an odd flow from Alice. Alice has heated this air here. And so this is actually spinning. The top layer here is spinning high pressure. Right, as you see it's going counterclockwise. Well, here the evaporation of stuff here is causing cooling. It makes a lull. And this is helping to shove this way. You guys hear some of your cyclone season is being deployed right here. Boom, boom, plums, right? I'm going to do weather a little different. Sometimes I'm going to do like this. Boom, 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 plum. And as I go out of here, I might catch some of the vortices going on with this storm. While it's doing these flashy bits, I'll yak. So you'll start to see some of these things feeding towards it in straight lines. That's outflows from a beam. A beam, let's say between my hands, that space is the beam. Alright? It creates a hot area that the outside's cooler. Hot rushes towards cold. Creates a channel. Has to. That channel is also called a duct. You can send energy down the center of that like a wire. And actually rise the outside of the inside clouds, the causal layer between the interactions of that. Hot and cold, they have been induced to be next to each other. Now that goes through the mantle. The vibrations of intersecting beams. Very bad for fault lines, because there's a lot of vibration, expansion of molecules inside the crust itself. So that takes up space, and they're vibrating. I keep shocking them with different blast, boom, boom, frequency. How often? How often am I pushing the screen? How often am I pounding the ground with my hand? If I do this on my desk softly, eventually I can get the whole desk to shake just by pushing my finger up and down on the corner of a table, right? You could do this. Well, even a beam in the stratosphere from a Tiger radar could dimple the atmosphere and causes this effect. Does. It's the simplest way I can explain it. They said I can't do some videos sometimes that I'll show them with my hands. And that's kind of what goes on. There's also other pushing factors of the impetus of the beam. Which ship hits which, you know. If a ship going into a dock hits this one, which one gets the most damage? And it's usually the lighter one, or the one that's weaker. Or whichever one's moving faster doles it out. You guys got sport utility vehicles. Well, if I get in an accident, at least I'm going to dole it out. That was a great attitude, wasn't it? Made you murder in the eye of the oneness, if it ever happened. I'm going to show you this flow now. I got it up here. This is the area in question, this big looking square ass thing. It's not round like they're showing you on all the graphs. It's square. And down the side here is where the beam come up. You see the sweat where the clouds are acting different. And all the action is centers right in here when I look at the beams. That's just more data coming in. It doesn't give me enough rubber on the corner on this. So I'm going to go like that. Is that okay for you guys? I can move the screen actually. Oh, that's nicer. Get more of you in there. Alright, so go in here, you get a lot of booms feeding it, right? Pop it here, the circulation is supposed to take it in. If you call that circular. I don't know, it's all being guided through here. See this waveform coming out? Boom. But it runs into this one here, it can't go no further. That's the beam swat. And it looks like they've nucleated a bunch of chem bombs on the edge here, which is easily done with a military transport type plane. It's been shown. Look at the waveforms coming here, high and low. The convections of the low ocean and the top clouds. Some people would call that one a morning glory, and they can naturally occur. But we'd have to ask if the conditions are right. See, this flow here is having a hard time even making it over there, right? It's being forced down. Being forced down into this corridor here, near where the energization of this island usually takes place. And these two glitches down here on the low deck are a pretty good indicator that that's blasting. Lord Howe over here, that would be what, burnt tree? This tree. And it could reach out there, don't tell me different. Anybody who says they know every device on an island from when they've been there once doesn't realize they could have had visitors after you left. Or maybe they just showed you what they want you to see, which is the most likely thing. Look at the bombs here off the coast of New Zealand. Boom! Like the Jewish alphabet going by. Hi. High, 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 high in the sky. Highs in the sky with your Zionist hopes. Nah, I don't want Zionism. Tired. I don't want humanism. I want humanism. I want these squares in the sky that the rolling the dice there. It does look like a dice cube, all pointing toward the center point of emanation of some kind of deployment of chemical catalysts in the skies and nucleating cloud condensates. Little condensates. Condensates, condensates. Condensates. Look at the guilt here. This is not good for the breathing of people. You poor folks on the North Island, they got their sights on you. The chem bombers are definitely active today in New Zealand. How are we doing down here, Cha-cha Charlie? Cha-cha. Bombed. See it right there? Bombed. Criss. And yeah, your mountain's bombed. And this coastline here is going to cop it. I don't know what travel's going on in New Zealand, but I believe the government's recommending you do not go there right now. But that's not up for me to say. Somebody was asking me about that today. So any New Zealanders that would like to comment on this about the traveling conditions throughout the country that might help this person make an informed decision, I personally wouldn't go right now. Yeah, I also know about some weather coming. Don't catch me here right now. New Zealand is going carpet. So let's have another quick look around at this. A lot of haze up here is telling me a lot of evaporation's taking effect, which causes cool. It's not all just plasma. I'm looking out here, Fitzroy. I'm looking at two storms, and they'll kind of react to each other. What they have to is this expands, that atmosphere goes along into this one. They will react to each other, even for vast distances. So most of the Pluminazzi's going that way. A lot of squares out here today, folks. A lot of not roundnesses. A lot of these false skylashes and sturdy Sanchez-looking stripes all under the nose of Mother Nature. How many directions of the wind did you have here? Hi. An occluded front is supposed to be rare. Come on, meteorologist. You would have even had to tick that on a box on a test. And this is breaking all the rules of Mother Nature, because the rules of motherfuckers are different. And the motherfuckers trying to control the weather here, like let's say on Jabiru here, the jab capital of Australia. I don't know, it's just the name. Is that what they do to the roos? They're going to mRNA Jabiru them away. See the square to this here? It's not natural. Over your entire country. I mean, that's just an obvious geoengineering, and you're just going to backfill this. Is this along the line about any kind of storms that are supposed to happen in Australia? They fucking are. Right along that square. They haven't even boxed it in yet. If you want a correlation, this and this. See the square there? Oh no, can't quite catch it. See the square here? Independent of this square is scalar. It's scalar in nature. Square. Square of planned devastations and rains. You can't tell me the weather plan isn't enacted a long time in advance. That's your 12-hour totals right there, by the way. 24s. 3s. This is where they're going to get inaccurate. This is where I'll switch. Big pockets have been made. Right? Big pockets. Big pockets being drawn. Yet, inside this big square, we're going to chem-bomb it. Okay, roger, over now. We got a reverse square to nudge with right here. Tap the table, man. Tap the table. Then another one out here. This one's actually, we know, is going over the top of that one. So I'm going to set this into motion now and see what that is going on. That's coming from the tropics, expands and hits a wall of energies, forcing it that direction. This is going under that. It's going to make this quite electrical. Seems to be holding off on the energy line. Like they want a double flow. And this flow here will be a little bit cooler. Coming in from the rest of Australia. But the heat on down here is going to help fuel as well. I think it's easy to do a forecast looking at chemtrails. It's a lot easier than doing it their way. So that's definitely a correlation between the chem deployments and where the predicted paths of inundating, land grabby, of overreaching governmental corporate fund, fucking land grab bastards controlling your weather. I don't know how many more adjectives can I put in for fucked up, out of hand corporation. Just because you donate for somebody to get in office don't mean you should own them. If you give me a donation, you don't own what comes out my mouth. I appreciate all the help I get too, by the way. Don't ever think I'm not grateful. I've never had one of those chats. I was disgusted actually. Who's this person who makes all these wild alien claims? Had a super chat, $300 just to get their comment on. What the fuck is that all about? 150. And I looked at that real quick. I said, geez, she said in her roof and made more of spouting lies she can't prove than it cost me for a month's rent. I was disgusted this morning. I'm watching the chem bomb deployments going off over on this side over here. Over here, some of them are bombed and they're all streaming top level this direction. They have to. The beam to hold that in there had to create a flow this direction. So this flow here is actually going to stop that flow, right? Pow. So that weather will be an independent system than this one here. And that'll creep under it. Look at the bombs going on. Right through this field here, by near, on that corridor between Mount Isa and all them, where they want that road headed toward Charters Tower. Absolutely horrendous. I'm going to let this roll a bit of a forecast of what they say is going to happen. See if I can get everybody on the screen. Now, this might take a minute to roll. Bomb, 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 bomb. At the heaviest flows will be on this side of the eastern side of that storm. Okay, man, roll. In New Zealand, you will have some action coming up from your South Island in about 5 days from now. Big tendrils coming up from Antarctica to meet one coming from here. That EMF blast that put that cold air under South America like a few days back is going to make its way up then across Antarctica and into the New Zealand, this area's weather here. What you're hearing is my coffee cup. Ding, ding. As the fucking off of that storm remains, the snapback of the tendrils energy is going to also launch some more stuff your way. It's time for this flow to change. You guys are headed toward a different time of year. See, about then you're seeing, looks like some snow's coming into the fjord lands on Saturday my time, which will be Sunday the 5th your time, New Zealand. Yeah, that cold meat and that warm and all that's not going to be very welcome for people who have just been made homeless, or rescue workers who have should turn into a, maybe let's just have a funeral service for some victims of geoengineering. And that storm was geoengineered, and it's a hard reality to think you don't matter that much in the world where they want your land without your rights and or consent of giving. They just force you off, tell you can't build here no more. That's dangerous. And then later on you'll see them build something there, a government or a corporation. Oh, it's a big wildlife habitat or something. Look at this, some very heavy action coming to Tassie. I'm a bit concerned. And we'll go your snows on the 10. Here, man. It says it's only a tickle. And you're going to be some wintry mix. So that can make driving a bit hazardous through here. Your accumulations look like they're going to be kind of high. You used to your colors yet. That's more likely as the storm comes over that it would hit this coast side. So I'm going to go with 10 centimeters on this, at least. Oh, you know, lakes need water. And 1, 2, 3, 4 said, this is more my concern. I don't like to be the bearer of this news, but somebody needs to tell you. Hey, your retired coastline is going to get butted into by a big tendril of shit coming from New Zealand and Antarctica. Profits. Excellent. Meanwhile, the released hounds of the weather organizations and the chem bombs, maybe those are the hounds of the future, as hounding everybody down. And sorry about that, I'm having a bit of a connection issue. I'm getting this off at 5 a.m. because it's been impossible to get you guys a decent forecast. At least you got us some break. Let me just give you this part. Wet. Wet. Yeah, so you say you want to go visit New Zealand? Why don't you just make life easier on everybody around you and go visit somewhere else? Not really. You're going to have wantons and needings of a holiday, and these people are going to have wantons and needings to live. Or load up with a bunch of blankets, get through customs and all that. Go give that away and get on a plane and fuck off. They need their resources for themselves. Right? Let's be honest. Imagine the price gouging on bottles of water and stuff that could be going on. So let's go with who's in the more eminent problem zone. So the corridor here between Canteen Creek and all this shit in Mount Ice is going to cop it. Right? The Nike Stripey is there. I don't know what the hell that is. Just a tendril over a river. So that can all converge on predictable points. Hello, Avon Downs. You're going to have problems again. This Route 66 up jump the double. Again. Who's this? And we'll just have a little pond here. But it's going to be a great big pond. I have to do this a little slower today. What's really nice to see is they're getting that drying out. That's that haze we were seeing. But that's also moving moisture into this and on a different level of the atmosphere. And it'll be a bit cooler, and it's also going to help fuel these storms. Big pocket seems to be a tendril calling into here. You're going to have a calling card of a tendril over here. And it was a loader. So you see, there's some of this stuff coming in here. Ain't smalls. It's a big pocket of something they're planning to drop over the top of you in the next 3 days. After the streams are swollen. It's going to be devastating out here again. And I'd call... It's time. You should get the people the fuck out of here. And if the government doesn't react to this, knowing this is going to be here, and it's all racing in predictable patterns that I do not know where the water runs. I don't know the altitudes, what levels everything is. All I know is this road's going to have some fucking problems. Even staying a road. How many times it can wash out on one side of a bank on a road before it lifts up the tarmac and strips it over? And it don't take much. You see, many at times how the roads fold over. So you have to watch the flash floods. You know, actually on the underside too, the current starts to undermine like a waterfall does. You end up with a tarmac there with a dip. There ain't no road under it. You go right down a mountain. You guys be careful out there. This ain't, you can go down no mountain out in the middle of that, but you understand what I mean. And you're looking at been about 1.5 foot of water coming down there in 3 days, according to this. Fucking hell. One of them's even worse. Absolutely worse. They got the tendril in a straight line. So we know that there's a big tendril coming in from the tropics. It's being led over Northern Territory and into Queensland. In Queensland, you ain't much better on the tens. I'll tell you this. When I do the zoom backs, you got more pink up here than in a pink concert. And this is big. These are real bigs. Some of these are getting near a meter in cans. I'm very sorry that the accuracy of my forecast the other day is about to play out. Report Douglas, Cairns, this whole corridor here is slated for inundation. And you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems here. right there on the bird head. Beak and crest. I look at that's the pig's nose, the snout. Right, ain't my Imaginarium sees a lot. That's the snout. I saw I identified land. I could just see it because you know when they finally hand you guys over to China for the debt that your government gave private corporations. Yeah, the names of the towns don't matter to me. It's what shape is the land. I can just zoom in on places. That's the leaning jowler. There we see cool faces and things and animals. It's called Imaginarium. I hate I do this again. Again, I go, what's this town? And I zoom right on in, and it's fucking in this vale and Wangan in South Johnstone. Again. So we'll be watching as the times come exactly where the biggest, heaviest tendril is. But it looks like you're about to get a brunt. It's most likely to snap back from that. See, this is a weird flow, eh? It's a high pressure flow. Making storms that are square. Square lines. Square storms. Yeah, you just see it. See it. All in it. Predictable lines of deployments of squares. Yep. The rains of which we complain aren't always left by the planes, the trails. There's balloon deployments, there's plane deployment there, there's electromagnetic frequency deployment there going on, and the harder to prove laser ones. They make very particular looking dots and swaths. How many more squares can I show here? And there's a square here, and they'll fill that in. There's the squares here. Full sky lashes there, or a sky brow between Roma and Charlieville. That's not a small swath of chem. It's being nucleated along a line of energy. But you can see the dots of the chem bombs inside this. Boom, 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 right there, 3, 4. Come on, that ain't natural formation. That'd be like water on the ground. It's mighty swathy looking though, isn't it? Where the dynamics of the cloud change in a particular spot. It's usually evidence of a beam. Or the river itself. Water will blow out a hole. And so you need to know where water is. Water has different properties. You might say, fuck you. And like it did here, and gave some sunshine to itself. I don't fully understand why it does that. I have a lot of theories at it that have to do with the reflections on the top of the water, and EMF different, or water has properties we don't fully understand yet, which would be a very accurate statement. No physicist could deny that there's not just 3 states of water. I'm looking out at this low deck interacts with this chem and dissipates it, and the tendrils almost down into it. Might be magnetic properties of the mix itself doing that. Look at this bomb come over here. It comes sailing down. Something comes out, and it booms all on its own. Boom, 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 boom. A deployment, not going that direction, coming down. Geoengineering, bringing that. Those are tendril movements. So for a while, I'll show you. I could start to count the bands of tendrils and see what they're bringing in. That's a tendril. This is about 4 tendrils, big ones. And they'll keep them separated and moving how they want. So you'll end up with rain coming in bands, like this one and this one and this one, little breaks in between. It makes it look like more natural. But when you see it from high above, you'll realize that that's not a circulation, it's a square. And that looks like fireworks, and that's the reason why I'm coughing all the time. The non-smokers living in places that have lots of dust, or they don't have any manufacturing. You know that's coming from the sky. It's called fallout. Yeah, there's different kinds of fallout, and there's going to be fallout from doing this to our planet. There's Judgment Day for everybody, including me. But this here is a crime of the scale of which nothing has ever even been accused of before. And nothing has ever been accused of what's going on here that I know of. And therefore it's different. It's not a genocide. It's an extinction level event. It's an ELE. ELE don't always come from space. ELE ain't always Project Bluebeam, making you would doubt the realness in front of you if you've seen it. I love coffee. Yeah, it looks like some really wicked weather coming your way. I'm not happy about. The death tolls in the past month from geoengineering is going to exceed the 6,000 easily worldwide. If we count earthquakes, and that is much, much higher. And Turkey's earthquakes is clearly a geoengineered event. But a lot of the ones you're seeing now are going down the Syrian border close to Lebanon. Right? It's not all just Turkey quaking. There's a whole line. So don't say just Turkey being targeted. Show me Calnet girl trying to act all scary looking down and blaming terrorism. They want you to hear that. No. Something, the geoengineering is causing quakes. It would look like it was a financial attack, in my opinion, on the beautiful people of Turkey. You know, so I'll just show you one of these tendrils. Look at this. This is the same screen I showed you a minute ago. Look at that number. My God. These tendrils are packing a wallop. This is going to be a devastator they have planned for you guys on the 10s. That's why I said the other day, get your arcs ready. This event is now in progress. Rest of the Queensland swaths along that coast. You got about 2 days. I say 24 hours, then get in your arc. Sorry, that's just how it goes. Well, this is the kind of weather video I'm going to do this morning. Sydney to Newcastle. Got a corridor of devastation scheduled of tendrilization of you. You got 5 days to get ready. Okay? And I'll cover you more thoroughly of what's being planned for you. It's a plan. The engineering takes plans from the nothings to the somethings. And they ain't even agreeing who's getting it. It's down here, down here. So this is the part where I tell you, prepare. Don't wind up, don't, oh my God, don't rub your head. Just prepare. Prepare means, you prepare for the worst, you hope for the best. And then you go out and enjoy the day you have without worrying about every cloud that goes by. Right? You gotta live. Put a hat on your head, keep looking at this guy if you're that nutcased about it. Yeah, I'm pretty nutcased about it. It's right, it takes a nut. Well, without nuts, we would not have good nutrition. It's right. That red skin on that peanut is very good for you. So you should eat my peanut sometimes. Hey, the peanut. What's the name of this place here? Oola Boola. Oola Doola. Oola Doola. Bolly Point. You know, we're right. Oh, they went the road. Oh, it's the A1. Of course. It's all part of the master plan. The master plan. The fucking Heil your asses. Yeah, you don't see it, do you? They use the word master plan. They use the word fourth industrial revolution because they don't think the word Fourth Reich would go down well. Which it won't. But I think using the word master plan in front of me was a big fuck up. All I need now is to hear at a meeting is, so what's the, does somebody stand up and ask when they talk about a master plan, so what's the final solution? Just say it real nonchalant. See if you can get one of them on record and say, well, the final solution is, and we get them. They love to misquote us. Fuck them on, set them up. I would. I'm fucking good at that. I'll give you a loaded fucking question where you'll just have to look at me and go, I give you a loaded answer. I give you answers like, I don't know, what do you think about that? Oh, I fucking love that one. I don't know. I haven't given it much thought. I told people that what do you think about this? I really don't. I haven't been thinking about that today. Oh, God, I am sorry to laugh at it. Jesus Christ, I just showed you guys a meter in a third of water park did Carpinteria. I think that's easy. So, right, I think I'm going to click off here. All right, this is the weather part of this for this morning. Let me come back on and have a chat. Sprayed like bugs. And get you eating yourself then. Bugs. What a fucking shame. We are a parasite upon this planet as a human species, I think. Until we unfuck the fuckers. We are all responsible. Because we are the worker ants doing the work. Remember that. We're doing the work. We're not getting that stuff to spray. So miners, you guys stop. They ain't got it. The recycling cans, where are they getting a lot of the processed aluminum ore? Where'd you stop? Where are they getting the money to do this? From over extortion bills and student loans that never end. And you've already paid back more than they gave. And they always taking more than they giving back. But acting like they're giving. Here's my $5 bill in front of the homeless guy, and they tuck it back in their pocket. Oh, I have to tax that now on the way down. Yeah, it's such a world where showing you do something matters more than the action of doing it. As sad as I'll go ladle out the food for the homeless on a Christmas opportunity, might get my picture in the paper, versus I'll go down there during a week and feed them when it's not a holiday. Or I've got some extra pots and pans, I'll just bring them down for the cookings people places. Or here's a kilo and a half of stew that was left over at the arena. I pour in a bag, and I would walk on adults or the homeless people I walk by. Yeah, you always wonder what I always do with those things, eh? Richard, I walk my truth. I give it away. I would take a bowl for myself to eat. What more did I need? And I knew I would go back there the next day. There would be another bowl for me to eat. I didn't know if that guy and his dog was going to get another one. Probably was. He actually liked his homeless because I talked with him. Is there anything I can do to help you get out of this situation? A lot of them, no, I like how I live. Okay, cool. Happy to hear that. And I don't feel bad for you. You're doing your oneness. You wanna live on the road. We say sleeping rough. They say sleeping under the stars. It's not always pleasant sleeping under the stars when the stars go out at night because geoengineers. Or if you was laying in a gulch looking at the stars and you fall asleep, it'll flash flood come and drown your ass because you didn't get a proper forecast in advance. I am seeing earlier warnings. At Fiji too. Fiji, you're right out of the woods here on the 10s. It's actually, you got quite a high total. It's still to come to you. You guys got every bit of a quarter of a meter coming on the 10s. But I do cover the tropics. And there's some islands that are going to get scrubbed. I hadn't quite showed them yet. I don't know which country it is. They're very strange names. It might be the Samoas. Like, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Papeti. I'll show you where it is. This is the best way I can do this. I'll show you these islands. They're in the middle of the Pacific. All this out here, all these out here are about to get scrubbed. They are. They're going to get scrubbed. But it's a direct hit. It tendrils directly along the main lines of the islands. It's a direct blast. So it's a target. And these could go under the ocean. They're very low. So if you're on these islands, I would leave. Or prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Because that tendril's a direct target. So I'll be watching how they do that. You know, why I stay so depressed that I'm in tears halfway all the time? Because of this. I feel what's going to happen. I see it. It's 10 days away. Those people might have time to get out. Maybe none of them have the ability to. It costs money to get on a flight. And if a boat pulled up and ticked people away, the whole truther community go, it's bad. I see good. 700 people get evacuated to Darwin, and I want to make sure 700 people leave. Right? That's the important part. Where were they taken? Has anybody got this information? I'm happy as fuck that community didn't die out there. I really am. to create a disaster to fill your emergency center is also a bad thing. Halliburton has a very, very vested interest in that type of activity. I don't trust the Red Cross for nothing, man. They did that. You never even got your Northern Rivers money, all that money that was sent. At least the local people, the truther community was giving it back out. So I hear. But even the full tabulation of how much new jet skis crashed and all these things has never fully been given to me. And as a matter of fact, I get bitched at for asking for a $5 for stored data. I really am very frustrated by the leanings, people wantons of attention. I don't care. I don't going to share this even. So yes, I'm looking at the devastating totals, even the Darwin area on the 10th. I still to see every bit of a quarter of a meter. I just hang my head. It's getting a big 10-inch right up the old wazoo again. So I'm going to click off the weather part of this, alright? My big love, people. Stay safe. Peace.